Good morning, traders. We're in the trading room today, and I'll be recording the weekly outlook. My apologies to my YouTube viewers. I couldn't put it out yesterday. We're going to do that today and hope you guys are trading well. Hope you have a good week ahead of you. So let's start. Dollar index. Let me give you a quick review of the higher time frame. The higher time frame is we broke out of the lows. Now, that could mean two things. If you remember, we're saying this could possibly be a running flat as it stands right here. Now that we break the low, there's a high probability that that is the running flat, and this will just continue to go. So any correction, any flag, anything we get, we will be selling. Right? We were selling this to come and tag the low at least. Just be aware there's a possibility also for this to make what we call a channel. So it's going to start going sideways, come like this, go back up, drop like this, go back up, drop like this. We have seen that happen, rare, but it does happen. So when you're trading at the bottom of a very sharp impulse like that, you have to be very cautious in that once it breaks the low every time, it could turn at any given time. So it breaks the low on the 1 hour, it could go back up for a deeper correction, which means a correction like this. So there is a flag here for a sell. We will look at that yesterday in our trading room. And if any of my traders took the trade, there will be a sell setup here. So we were expecting this to drop and break this low. The idea of taking it higher here, somewhere in here or somewhere here, is that by the time it breaks the low, you can get that to break even. So should it just break the low and start to make a deeper correction, we'll get out of this and then we'll start the buying. Now, every time it drops, it stops, make a consolidation, you get out of the trade and you look for another trade. That is if it's going to continue to go. But be aware that this will start to correct itself. So breaking this low today means that that is all you get, and then it starts correcting deep. Silver, we tried to sell it yesterday in the shorter term. That is this trade in the 15 minutes. If you see that, it probably is a break-even trade because it dropped. It took a long time there, came back, took a long time here. We would have closed that trade already if any of my traders took it. And the bigger picture is upside. We just wanted to see how deep this is going to go. It actually broke out here, and there's a possibility, I don't know if any of my traders took the trade. There's a possibility that they took this trade. We'll close that trade now. It's no longer valid because that pullback already negated the possibility. We just broke the top and we pull back. That means if this stays here, we'll be selling again, but we'll be selling for a bigger correction. Now, I'll have to take a pause here because I don't know who's watching this video. There might be traders who do not understand wave analysis, who are pretty new to this whole concept that I'm doing, and you may want to know what the hell is he talking about. So if you're new, if you're watching my video for the very first time, please go take a look at my channel, subscribe, watch more of the videos, understand the concept we use, and then let me know if you like it. If you do like it, you can send me a Skype message. I'll tell you how you can learn this method. So let's go. Once you get this sideways here, there is a possibility that this could come back to the bottom here, and we might be in a expanding or running flat pattern because we broke the top. This could still go up. And on the longer term, it still looks upside. That is why I'm thinking that it's not really for a big downside, but a more upside because we broke out of this structure and we're moving really fast. At the start of this structure, we thought that this would be a corrective structure because of the big flat. And that every time you see a flat like that, you think corrective until it breaks out really sharp. Any flag here now means that we're trying to go to break this top. So can it stop here, make a deeper correction, a longer correction here and then go? That's possible. Could also make a deeper correction here and then go. So there's a higher probability now for us to go break that up. And then from there, we'll see how high it goes because this structure in the daily is also corrective. Well, at least it looks corrective for us for now. This structure starting from here going up. It's not as impulsive as this. So all of this could still be in a bigger corrective structure, which means this goes break the top and actually comes back all the way to the bottom here before we go back up. Maybe in a more complex pattern than what I'm trying to show here, but rarely this goes and break the top like that. If it's going to go break the top the way it's going up, then we're going to be doing this. Go to the top there, come back here, go to the top, come back here, go to the top, come back here. This becomes what we call a squeeze. An A, a B, and a squeeze before this comes back down. This could go on for a very long time. Now, once we recognize that that is what it's doing, then trading becomes easy from the top to the bottom, from the bottom to the top. As soon as you break out of this structure, that's what we're going to do. Well, this one we traded up. We traded some of that down. We're trading this up. And we'll see when it breaks the top what happens. So for the trade today, probably short-term sell. I think that's most likely we're going to be looking at a short-term sell. What would change the sell and make it into a buy? Well, if this actually consolidate back to the top, pull back here, well, then that becomes a buy setup. Now, that definitely confuses you if you don't understand wave analysis, because I just said there's a sell setup, and you're saying, well, within a very short time, that changed into a buy setup, and that is exactly how wave analysis works. You look at the specific pattern that was formed, and then you determine the direction it's going to go. So based on what we have right now, specifically this pattern, that's a perfect sell setup. If that changes by going up here, which means you don't get the sell, but it goes up to the top, it needs to come back here, and then that becomes a buy setup. Hope you get that. If you don't, and you would like to join these live sessions that we do 2 live sessions daily, send me a Skype message. The Skype is in the description, and you get to access 2 of our live session daily. We'll give you the information how to do that. Gold, buy setup. The gold entry should have moved down to this level, and probably taken, the trade should have been taken here. I think in the Asian session, my traders will take this trade, and that is still a valid trade to the upside. Right, it's still moving in the 1 hour. There is no pullback, there is no consolidation. This piece, they're still making higher highs. So if you take the trade from this point, that is where you should have taken it on the 1 hour and the 15 minutes. Let me see. Yeah, probably you could have taken lower on the 15 minutes, because the idea was for it to break this low and turn. We discussed that in the trading room yesterday. We're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's a corrective structure. Go up, we're going to break this top, that's for sure. So it's going very slow, and that is normal. The market is still pretty early. Market isn't picked up as yet. We're going to break this top, and when you break the top, then there's a good chance we're coming way up to break this top. There's a very good chance for that. We're going to see how far and how fast it moves. If we have any, this afternoon we have some news event on the dollar. So if the dollar value changes, this could give us a really sharp spike today. We'll be looking for a flag for that to happen. So let's go. Euro, also buy setup. I think we definitely need to be in this one. This one is going really good. Just be aware that this movement is pretty strong, and this here could at any time stop and make a deeper correction. So there's a good chance it probably just go a little more, and we start to get deeper corrections before they go again. Right? They always tend to make some deep corrections after a big move. So if any of my traders in that trade, you got to be careful with it. Pong. The buy setup is there, but it's not triggered as yet. So let's see where we'll put it. Nowhere. Actually, we might even get a sell setup here. Yep, there's a good chance this does not break out, and instead we get deeper correction. So it could go a little more, and there's a good chance we might even see it come back down, making this into a bigger correction for upside. So if you're not in the trade, if you're in the trade, you should be in the trade from here. That would be for my traders who took it. This was an entry yesterday afternoon. Before yesterday, the day actually put that. We had it here, but we moved that, and that is the right thing to do in front of the news event. So this would be the flag you'd be buying. And if you took that trade, well, just be aware that this might drop. It's not making that big momentum to the upside that we were expecting. So we'll probably be staying consolidation here. I'll remove this. I'll put it as more as consolidation. Yep, this was a sell, also possible break-even trade. 15-minute flag, yeah, you definitely close the trade. It drops here, pull back. If you didn't close it here, you close it here. So that would be a small loss or a break-even trade. This is probably just a correction for downside. Let's see if we have any buy setup there. Yep, probably there was a buy, but you'd close the trade already. If you put an entry here, that trade is closed already for break-even. Can we buy it again above the top? Yeah, you can repeat that process. An entry for a buy here, but that could be short term. I'll put a buy entry there. That'll be very short term, because there's a very good chance that we're just trying to consolidate here and drop. The bigger picture is downside. The bigger picture is this making a consolidation like this here and then dropping. So this consolidation would be a sell setup to the bottom. So if you take that buy, and it doesn't go closer, because the bigger trade would be selling it to the downside. I don't know how deep they're going to consolidate. The buy is valid because we don't know how deep they're going to consolidate. We don't know how deep this is going to go, this much, or, well, in very rare chance it goes break the top again and come back. So in that case, we take it. But this is a manageable trade, which means if it tags and it doesn't go, you close the trade. right? You want an impulse now to the upside. And if that doesn't go, we get rid of trade and we look for the sell setup. If you want to go with a sell setup here, that's also a valid trade. Sorry. If you want to get a sell setup right here, that's a valid trade. Because the bigger picture is downside. So if you take the buy with caution, if you take the sell, you don't have to worry about it. You're coming to retest this low. So most likely what I think is going to do is repeat this move back to the bottom with consolidations in play. And after that, we're going up. New Zealand, definitely a sell. So we discussed this in details yesterday in the class that we had. We have an ongoing course right now. It's an 8 weeks ongoing course. Started a few weeks ago, so we will continue to do it. And if you were in there yesterday, even before this happened, you know exactly what to look for, because we looked at a few of these patterns, and that means you'll be selling here. No questions asked. Actually, I showed one exactly like this. What happens when you start to get a slow move down to confirm that that is not a channel for upside, but a channel for downside? So this would be a very good trade. Where would this take us? Let's see in the bigger picture. Well, we haven't broken the top. So if this drops really sharp, we will either look for a running flat. We would decide whether we want to use it as a running flat. That's a possibility. Not because of these pullback, but because of this one. This one is not that sharp, as you can see. But if this drops sharp, we'll go with a possible running flat for upside. Right? Or if it comes much lower, and that is possible, we'll just look at this as a bigger correction. We'll figure it out. I think it's not really the equivalent of that, but we'll figure out how we look at it. We'll look back at the bigger structure and see everything back. Redo the whole structure. So I think there's a rare chance we come back and retest this low. The bigger picture is still upside, right? In terms of where this is going to go when we come out of this, it's still upside. The only question is whether this comes back to the low before it goes. I think part of it is this and part of it is this. Those two pullbacks are not in line with, a more sharper move to the upside. So we'll see. If it makes a big flat and go, no problem. That's still a good trade. So if it comes here, there's one trade to get. I'm going to put it this way. One impulse down to go with. And then we'll see from there whether we're going back for a running flat or whether it's going to drop more. So there's a good trade to get there in this one today. I don't think that will stay there all the way until the 4 p.m. my time, which is the news. So it'll probably break before that, but we'll see if we get it. That's a good trade for a sell. So of all the trades that we looked at yesterday in the trading room, Pong did not tag you. So Pong is still probably more corrective. New Zealand did not go anywhere, didn't tag you. That's a correction. So New Zealand from a buy to a sell, Pong from a buy to a possible sell. Euro still a buy, but manage that trade with caution. I think gold still a buy, manage it with caution. Silver, be careful. Silver hasn't really changed from even if you took the sell and then you took the buy, both of them went nowhere. So I would assume silver is still in a correction. I don't think breaking that top means that we're going to totally drop, but keep that in mind. This is a good sell setup. So silver from a sell yesterday to sell today, no problem. You would have got a break even in the sell, break even in the buy, and now you're back into looking for the sell. Keep an eye on this trade. I wouldn't be surprised if it dropped, because considering that New Zealand and Pong are still showing us downside, this is a good sell setup. We go for it. Put an entry under the low. Put an entry under the low, and let's see. We'll keep it under the low because this is just very small correction. So this could drop really much, or it could just be one drop to this low and then go back up. We'll see which one. So we've changed silver to a sell. We've changed New Zealand to a sell. Aussie, not a sell as yet. It could possibly be a sell, especially if it doesn't go very much. If you're going to buy this Aussie, buy it with caution, a lot of caution. Right? It could become a sell. Yen. Yep, the buy was good. I hope you managed to take some profit out of it here. Not much, but it's coming right back down. So that might turn out to be just a bigger flat for more downside. All right, we'll see. Right now, if you sold it, you would have to sell it here. This would be the best sell setup after we break the top and we drop. That would be a best sell. So if you're in that sell, put it to break even, wait, because I don't like the correction inside of this. Possible more upside, right? With a bigger correction. If not, if you're not in the trade, wait for another flag. Makes another flag, we sell. We don't have a buy setup right now. So it makes another flag, we sell again. Remember, the bigger picture of this is whether we're going to look at this as a running flag. And I also explained yesterday that we're taking this trade to the upside, not the fact that that is going to go, because this one had a few corrections in it. So there's a good chance it could drop here. We'll see divergence, and then we go up. So the sell is a good idea. If we get another flag, we sell it, we take it, and then still up. We still have to prove that that is the running flat, and we're not dealing with a contracting flat here. So take the sell, because if it's a contracting flat, this sell is going much deeper, right? All those arrows explain what we discussed yesterday in the trading room. Swiss, well, now we might get something. Yesterday we didn't have anything in it because it was useless. Now it's, yeah, again, remember why we didn't buy it, the depth of the pullback. This might have been an indication what everything else is going to do, but the yen buy was still good, and it still turned out to be a very good trade. So once it tagged the top, if you sold there, you did well. If not, wait for the breakout. The breakout is a good idea. I'll change this to this one. I don't like the fact that it's moving so slow, but then the market is pretty early, right? Two things I don't like here. One is I don't like the fact that these are sharp, and this one has a consolidation there, which would have been the sell. And the second one is, well, it's not moving that fast. But if you take the trade here, keep your stop above that, not above this stop, because the chances are they can still retest that top. We could still be making more waves in here before we drop, but it's a sell setup. You can do two things. Wait for another small flag. That would be a safer thing, or you can use the bigger one. Trade the bigger pattern by putting an entry here. Right? That is, you're trading this entire correction. If you took that flag, perfect. If you didn't, wait for another flag. So this is a sell now. That's confirmed. CAD, still a buy. It's it didn't come back. It's still above 50%. Now, I would still say we put a buy here. Let it prove it's actually going down deeper for a bigger flat. And even if it goes down deeper, this would be the correction, right? This is the first impulse up. This is going to be the correction. It'll still go back up and then drop. So selling here is not like selling this yesterday. We didn't know that would have become a sell when that drop. So that's not a great idea. Selling here might not be the best idea as well. But if they take off from here, you want the trade. So we'll leave this as a buy. Wouldn't change that structurally. Okay, since we're doing this for YouTube, I'm going to do some of the indices. Let's look at oil. We wanted to sell oil yesterday. Great. So it's still a sell. You had a pullback in the news, and then you're kind of consolidating here. So all of that consolidation might, especially if it comes back here, that would be perfect. We have news today again. Then that drop would be perfect. If not, try to see if you can get this drop. That could drop for a possible running flat. So there's a good chance it drop here, maybe pull back, drop here, pull back deep again during the news today, get a running flat, and then go. That's the most clearest pattern I can see right now, but it's still a sell setup. That has not changed. S&P 500. Okay, that didn't break out. So we closed it. This one broke out. We closed it before the news, put it here, and it went up. So we've got this sharp wave, nothing to go with it. We've got another sharp wave up there, and we're coming down again. At some point, we're going to get a running flat forming here, a bigger running flat. This didn't break the low. So at some point, you're going to get a really big running flat forming here. You can't just have a series of sharp waves. When you get sharp waves and sharper, you start to find that you're getting a series of running flat forming in there. So can this come back? Most likely it could be the B part of that possible running flat. This sell could still go here, sorry. We could still sell this. We broke the top, we're making a flag, we still sell. Now, if this drops here, the chances are it will probably just drop like this. Go back up, come back down, go back up, and then we'll get this flat for upside. So if they're consolidating here for upside, we have two sharp waves, we could still sell. I'll leave that as a sell. This was the buy, and I hope some of you got a trade. This is perfect. The reason we bought this is we saw this flag, and that worked out perfect. Close the trade, look for an entry for a sell. So this, as of now, is a sell setup unless it goes higher. If it goes higher into this, we'll look for a flat instead of a flag, and then we'll look for this, and then we'll buy. But with 1, 2, 3 here and this 1, 2, 3 down, we can probably get 1, 2, 3 down. We'll get a perfect running flat for upside. So this trade is not really going to be a big one. This should be a very small trade coming down to this level here, and then upside. Let's go. Nasdaq, same thing, sell. This will probably be a running flat in the future again. So all three of them still sell set up for possible running flat. Bitcoin. Yep, Bitcoin consolidating. I don't think it's big downside. Structurally, it's not showing really big downside. I think we might still be in some form of a running flat here for upside. We'll have to check. If we take this 1, 2, 3 as a flat there, then we'll have to see whether we have a 1 for this up and whether this 1 down makes sense. So we'll have to look at that in more detail in the trading room again after the webinar. Right now, it's kind of consolidating. I wouldn't really go with a big sell. There is a sell setup here, but I'm not going to be, until we break out of all of these lows, I wouldn't be looking for a bigger sell to the downside, because as long as you're in all of this, even if you just tip it and come back, it could be some kind of an expansion. This looks very much like a big consolidation for more upside, at least 1 more up. In the big picture, I think at least 1 more up to finish the running flat we're looking at. That is this running flat, right? Possibilities we're making a running flat with this piece. There's a very strong probability for this being a running flat. So, and this consolidating here could mean 1 more up and then come down. Keep an eye on that. If it is starting the downside, right? If we're starting the downside already, we want to let it break out of that consolidation and then take any flag to the downside to retest the low, which means we're going to retest the 14,000 area. But very likely 1 more up first, because that consolidation, the reversal, normally you don't consolidate so much. So we'll see. Ethereum. Okay, this didn't go anywhere too. So there was a small flag, it actually came down. Can we look at this as a possible running flat? I think we will. Definitely be looking at that as a possible running flat there for 1 more up. At least 1 more up, and then we'll see what happens on that point. There's a good chance you could get 1 more up here, break that up, and then see if they come back down or they continue to go. What's the big picture? I don't think this will continue to go. It's not getting very aggressive. At some point, it has to start getting aggressive. See, when this piece pull back, they pull back pretty deep to all the way to the bottom here. And then it gets really aggressive. So we got this deep pullback, unless we make another big pullback here. So there's a good chance we break that up. Unless we make a deeper pullback like this for a running flat and then get aggressive, that will make sense. Right? But there's a good chance we're going to break that up. Trade with care. Have a successful week ahead of you. And see all of you next week. Take care. Bye.